The car is alive. That's the only way to describe it. 260 kilometers per hour through a tunnel of concrete barriers, and the car is talking to you through your hands, through your spine, through the soles of your feet on the pedals. It tells you where the grip is, it tells you where it isn't. It tells you things the engineers on the radio cannot see on their screens. You have 400ths of a second to listen. Turn 8 at Monaco, the one that ends careers. The barrier is close enough that your side mirror clips the air next to it. If you lift here, you lose the corner. If you don't lift, you are entirely dependent on the accuracy of every decision your hands have made in the last 2 seconds. Your hands don't lift. You come out of the tunnel and the harbor is in front of you, and the crowd makes a sound you feel in your chest through the cockpit foam and through your helmet and through everything. P1, 2 laps to go. Your engineer comes on the radio. He says, "Beautiful, keep it clean." You say nothing, you're already in the next corner. That's the job. Level 1, the Karting Kid. You're 8 years old. Your father puts you in a cart at a track outside Bologna, and you do 3 laps and come back in, and he asks how it felt. You say, "I want to go faster." This is the only answer that matters, not the lap time, not whether you spun. Whether you wanted more, that answer will determine everything. You spend the next 6 years in karting. Your family is not wealthy. This is important context. Every entry fee is a conversation. Every new set of tires is a calculation. Your mother drives you to circuits at 5 in the morning on weekends and sits in a camp chair for 8 hours and never complains about it. You win your regional championship at 12. You win the national series at 14. You go to Italy for the CIK FI World Championship at 15 and qualify on the front row and finish 4th, and a man in a Prema racing jacket finds your father afterward and hands him a card. That card is a door. Your father looks at it for a long time. He calls the number the next morning. Level 2, the junior Formula driver. You're 16. Formula 4. A single-seater racing car for the first time, no more kart. An actual car with actual downforce and actual slick tires that need heat in them before they work and punish you immediately when you forget that. The first test session you spin at the exit of a fast corner and put the car backwards into a gravel trap. You climb out, the mechanics don't say anything. You've seen that silence before. It means, this happens, it's expensive, don't let it happen again. You don't let it happen again. Formula 4 season, you finish 3rd in the championship. Not good enough for the first year, good enough to continue. The difference between those two things is funding, and funding is the thing nobody tells you clearly enough is the actual competition before you even get to the racing part. Formula 3. You're 17. The circuits are faster and the cars are angrier, and the competition is 40 other teenagers from 20 countries who all had the same conversation with their fathers and all won their karting championships, and all believe they are the one. You win 6 races, you finish 2nd in the championship by 11 points. 11 points is nothing, 11 points is everything. A junior program scout from a midfield Formula 1 team calls your manager. You don't have a manager, you get a manager. Level 3, the Formula 2 driver. You're 19. Formula 2. One step below Formula 1. The cars are fast enough that the gap between Formula 2 and Formula 1 feels real but crossable. The season is 24 races across 14 countries. You are in a different city every 2 weeks, you live out of one suitcase. You eat in hotel restaurants and memorize circuits from simulator data on a laptop in rooms that all look the same. Your teammate is a 23-year-old from Brazil who has been in Formula 2 for 3 years. He is fast. He is also finished, though neither of you knows it yet. Formula 2 has a way of showing you both the ceiling and the door at the same time. You finish the season with 3 wins and P4 in the championship. Not enough for a Formula One seat, enough for a phone call. The phone call is from a team principal you have watched on television your entire life. He says they want you in their simulator program. He says there may be something at the end of it. You say yes before he finishes the sentence. Your mother cries when you tell her, not because she's surprised. Because she sat in that camp chair for 8 years and she always knew, and the knowing and the happening are two entirely different things. Level 4, the reserve driver. You're 21. You have a Formula One license. You do not have a Formula One seat. You are the reserve driver, the third driver, the one who sits in the garage on race weekends in team kit, and watches the two race drivers do the thing you can do but are not yet doing. You do simulator work, you give feedback to the engineers. You are useful. You are also watching a door that is open slightly, and you cannot yet push it all the way. You get your first race weekend when one of the race drivers gets sick in Singapore. 48 hours notice. You fly to Asia with a bag and the knowledge that every journalist at the circuit is going to be watching you for every single mistake. You qualify 14th. The car is not a car that qualifies 14th on merit. You've put it 3 places higher than it belongs. Race day, you finish 9th, 1 point. The team principal shakes your hand afterward and says nothing. His handshake says it. The race driver recovers and returns for the next round. You go back to the simulator. You do not complain. This is the job for now, and you do it completely. Level 5, the race driver. You're 22. A race seat. Your name on the car, your face on the pit wall board. The first time you drive out of the pit lane in a Formula One car at a Grand Prix weekend and join actual Grand Prix traffic, actual Formula One cars around you on an actual circuit, you feel something happen in your chest that you don't have a word for. Not nerves, something older than nerves, something that was waiting for this specific moment since you were 8 years old and came in from 3 laps in a kart and said, "I want to go faster." The season is hard. The team is midfield. Midfield in Formula One means you are fast enough to see the top teams in your mirrors when they lap you and slow enough that you will never challenge them for a win. You learn to find your victories in different places, best of the rest, out-qualifying your teammate, finishing a race you shouldn't have finished. You make an error at Monza, overambitious move at the first chicane, you take out your teammate, 2 cars in the gravel. In the debrief, the team principal looks at you and says what you already know, that was not acceptable. You say, "I know, it won't happen again." It doesn't happen again. Year 2, you score points in 12 of the 23 races. You outperform the car, the data shows this, the engineers know it. The offers come, a top team calls. Not the top team, a top team, there's a difference. You take the call very seriously. Level 6, the competitive driver. You're 25. A competitive car. This changes everything. You understood pace when you were in a midfield car, you had pace. But pace in a car that can win is a different sensation entirely, like running your hardest your whole life and suddenly the ground begins to slope downhill. The car beneath you matches what you are asking for in a way you didn't know was possible because you had nothing to compare it to. First podium. Australia 3rd place. You stand on the box and the national anthem plays and the trophy is heavier than you expected and you think of your mother in the camp chair. First win. Spain. You lead from lap 34 to the end. You cross the line and your radio fills with the team celebrating, and you do something with your face under your helmet that you hope nobody can see on the cameras. They can see it on the cameras. Championship battle. You and 2 other drivers going into the final 5 races separated by 18 points. The media calls it a 3-way fight. From inside it feels like 23 races of decisions compressing into 5 weekends. You finish 2nd in the championship, 3 points. 3 points across 23 races. 3 points is nothing. 3 points is everything. You go home. You sit in your apartment in Monaco for a week. You go over every decision of every race in your head. You find 12 points left on the table across the season, 12 points you could have had. You write them down, all 12. You carry that list into the next season. Level 7, the champion. You're 27. First World Championship. Abu Dhabi, final race. You need to finish ahead of the one man who can beat you. For 53 laps you do exactly that. On lap 54 he tries something at turn 9. You see it coming before he does because you have been watching him all year the way you watch a circuit, looking for patterns, building a map of his decisions. You close the door, he doesn't get through. You take the checkered flag with a gap of 4 seconds. In your helmet you are completely calm. You have been building toward this exact moment for 19 years, and now that it's here it feels less like an arrival and more like a confirmation of something you already knew. The radio explodes. Your engineer is saying something you can't fully hear. The crowd at the circuit is a wall of sound. You do your in-lap. You stop on the track where they tell you to, you climb out. The cameras are already surrounding the car. You stand on the roof of the car. You take your helmet off. The air on your face is warm and dry and smells like desert and spent fuel and celebration. You look at the sky for a moment, then you look at the camera. Level 8, the dominant champion. You're 29. Back-to-back titles. The team has built something around your feedback, your preferences, your specific way of working that makes you nearly impossible to beat in the dry. Other drivers describe what it's like to race against you the way drivers once described Schumacher, the way they described Senna. You don't read those comparisons because they're not useful to you. What's useful is the data from Friday practice. What's useful is the tire degradation curve on the long run. What's useful is the 3/10 you left on the table in Sector 2 at Suzuka and what you're going to do about it on Sunday. You win 15 races in a season. Your teammate is fast and respected and 22 points behind you at every stage. The criticism comes. It always comes when you win too much. They say the car is too good. They say it isn't the driver, it's the machinery. You've heard this about every dominant champion in the history of the sport, and you know from the inside, from the feeling in your hands through every corner of every lap, that the machinery doesn't do it alone. You know exactly what you contribute, and you don't need anyone else to know it. But you know who says it, you file it. You'll have something to show them. Level 9, the legend. You're 34. For World Championships. 112 race wins. The records that seemed unreachable when you were watching this sport on television as a child are now your records. You sit in the preseason media conference, and a young journalist asks what still motivates you. He's maybe 23 years old. He has a press pass and a recorder, and the kind of earnest expression that means he's been thinking about this question for days. You think about it honestly, not for the cameras. Actually think about it. The answer is the same as it's always been, not the championships, not the records, not the money or the recognition or the name on the pit board. It's the corner. The specific moment inside a corner when everything is at the absolute limit of what the car can do and what you can do, and those two things are perfectly matched, and the lap time that comes from that is something no engineer designed and no simulator predicted. That moment is created by you and only you, and it lasts maybe 2 seconds, and then it's gone. You've been chasing that feeling since you were 8 years old, going 3 laps around a track outside Bologna. You're still chasing it. You tell the journalist, the car still has things to teach me. He writes it down. He thinks it's a diplomatic answer. It's the most honest thing you've said all weekend. You go back to the garage. You put the helmet on. You drive out of the pit lane. The car is alive, it always was. That was always the whole point.